No Boundaries Podcast. Josh Sapu, my girl Jazz.
What's up?
Q Kelly can't be here due to difficulties, but
Oh man.
we got our boy.
Shouts out to
Family
Q
in here.
Kelly.
Shout out to Q, and I know he missed this one. He loved this one. My boy Quest Green's in the building.
Oh
Man,
yeah,
what's
no.
good,
Oh man, come on, man. Man,
Back.
let me say, I love No Boundaries Podcast. Let me just say that. Shouts
That's
out to
love.
y'all, man. Word up.
Man, that's love.
Word
I
up.
mean, obviously you killed him with the first episode. We were just talking about it before we came on, but
Yeah.
everybody sees what you're doing. You've been making moves since 2016. We've seen you obviously with Kanye West. We've seen you with Andre 3000, Peter
Yeah.
Rosenberg, Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
Here you are with E.T.,
Yeah.
Willie Moore Jr. I mean,
Yeah.
the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And now you making your own movement, your own brand,
Yeah.
buzzing. You got a big following on social media,
Yeah.
everything you got going on. I
Yeah.
got to say, first of all, what do you got next? What's going on in the mix right now?
Right now, like for real, me and my wife are very much on the marriage boy. We have been spending our time being strong advocates for marriage, man, and just making sure that, like for real, I did this wrong the first time.
Right,
You
okay,
feel me?
okay.
The first time I did this, I was married in 2003, and by 2005, I was divorced. You know what I'm saying? And I realized that, like for real, I learned a whole lot more about myself than I learned about anything else. I think I learned a whole lot more about what I don't want more than what I do want. And that's kind of strange because when you find out what you don't want, what you do want kind of works itself out. But over the years, because I've been studying and getting a little bit more familiarized with who I am and how I'm wired, you know what I'm saying? You start concentrating now on what you do want. And it's a whole lot that I want, man. And so, yeah, that's what we've been spending most of our time. Just last week, we was in Jamaica with ET, CJ, the whole, you know what I'm saying, ETA family doing the Phenomenal Life conference. And me and my wife presented, and she's not much of a presenter, but I promise you, she blew that thing out the water. I was just standing back, like I asked her 2 open-ended questions, and she just went like all the way in. And I'm just sitting there like, boo. I've been trying to tell you for the longest. It's one thing when you do marriage, when you see me doing my thing, but when my wife do it with me, it's explosive. It's explosive. So yeah, man.
So I mean, obviously, is there more cruises coming up?
Oh yeah,
also?
we do Phenomenal Life once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah, and it's usually within that February to April. I think next year we stretching more towards the end of the March, beginning of April. But yeah, it's guaranteed to be fire.
So explain a little bit what Phenomenal Life is.
Well, Phenomenal Life is like for real, just like for real, trying to live the phenomenal life. What is your idea of phenomenal life? Is it family? Like there's a couple of core values that I have. For me, it's family, you know what I'm saying? Fitness, faith, you know what I'm saying? Finances. Those are some of the things that are really important to me. And so it deals with all the different areas. Are you trying to become a better entrepreneur? Are you trying to go to the next level in your relationships? Are you trying to, my man Jamal, shouts out to my man Jamal King, who is like killing the game in terms of real estate. You know what I'm saying? Showing us how to create generational wealth. So all those different conferences are for those who are beginning entrepreneurs, those who are in the middle, whatever it is that you're trying, better at personal development. That's what the whole Phenomenal Life is about. So it's a little bit more than just making money. Who are you in terms of integrity, in terms of character? You know what I'm saying? Like for real. So yeah.
Put all those in each area of life.
Oh yeah. So we break the whole week out. Like Monday we had conferences. Sunday was pretty much the meetup. We had conferences on Monday, Wednesday, I think, and Thursday. And then the rest of the week was like, you know what I'm saying? Excursions, everybody, you know what I'm saying? Like for real, kicking back on the beach. Yeah, because we become products of our environment. And when you get exposed to going on trips like that with minds who think similarly to you or who are on the next level, you know what I'm saying? Like for real, if you the dopest dude in your crew, it's time for you to find a new crew. You feel me?
I mean, you already preaching already.
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely want to dive into certain
no
things.
doubt.
Obviously, the one thing that stood out from the last episode from last season was your faith.
Yeah.
A lot of times we have people come on the show and we have things from rappers to people in the industry, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's rare that you have a good conversation about somebody with their faith as their foundation.
Yeah, no doubt.
One thing that stood out to me about you is how you always say you put God at the forefront of everything you do.
Yeah, no doubt.
With this generation, our generation, it's almost like we put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
A lot of people, whether it's somebody that wants to be a rapper, somebody in the sports field, even in just communication and media film.
Yeah.
It's like somebody just wants to lose their integrity, like you said.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Lose their foundation in faith because of what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
For somebody like me and Jazz, what would your biggest thing be as far as how we present ourselves with our faith being our foundation and putting God at the forefront?
I would definitely say first and foremost, don't let your talent take you where your character can't keep you. Yeah, I'm going to say it one more time because I think that's one of the things that we spend a lot of our time on. We spend a lot of our time on building money and building financial structure before we get character in place, before we get integrity in place. The word declares that seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all these things will be added unto you. You feel me? And so people are always trying to look for the shortcut way to the end result or what they want in terms of the goal. Right. But the life that they live in is not conducive. That's why we call it phenomenal life, because there's so many different compartments, so many different pieces, right, that come together to give you the end result that you're looking for. Right. So if you're good at making money, but you're not good in your marriage, like how long you think it's going to be before what you doing in your marriage tear down the way that you make your money? You feel me? Right. So yeah, that's my wife. You know what I'm saying? It would be her calling me while we in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
She know what time it is.
It would be her. So yeah, everything that we do has to have, and y'all know it, you Christians, everything that we do has to have a spiritual foundation or a spiritual backing, or else what is the thing that keeps you in line? Right. What is your measuring stick? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah.
Right. I want to ask you something also.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because Devon Franklin, big time Christian. When it comes to black love,
my man,
him and Papoose, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. When it comes to black love, but
yeah,
I heard him say something that, and I thought about what you were saying on marriages ain't for suckers.
Yeah.
On your podcast.
Yeah.
But this is about relationships.
Yeah.
It comes down to infidelity.
Yeah, no doubt.
So obviously, if a man cheats on a woman, he said that you can't dictate the time it takes for her to heal.
Nope.
At the end of the day, for you to kind of restructure that relationship, it falls on the woman.
Yep.
Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It falls on her now because she has to decide whether she's going to fully trust this situation again. Now, I'm not saying that she should stay in that place for a very long time. Okay, and I'm saying long past where you've already declared, like, okay, he's coming. You know you're going to end up having to, it's going to cost you this time.
Okay,
it's going to cost you. Yeah. You step out, it's going to cost you. Yeah. You're going to have to do some stuff with that credit card. You're going to have to call and check in ways that you didn't have to call and check in before. Yeah, no doubt. Because you done ruined the trust. Right. You know what I'm saying? All these different things that you did. Once she has seen over an established period of time that you're doing all the things that you are sincerely sorry, right? She gonna have to decide at that time now, okay, good. Do I want to fully trust this situation or not? But yeah, like for real, I think a lot of the times we forget that when we go to the altar and we make those vows, we not only making those vows to one another, we making those vows to God. So remember what we said, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health. Amen. You know what I'm saying? For richer or for poor. Right. And I think sometimes people just get married for better or for best. Yeah. You feel me? Like for real, the commitment ain't there. And what is commitment? Commitment is the thing that you said you were going to do long after the feeling you said it in is gone. Right. You know what I'm saying?
I always say about our generation, the one thing that I don't like about our generation is we give up so easily.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then people before us, generations before us, they love hard.
Yeah.
So I think there's a happy medium. I think that like with our grandparents and our great grandparents, they stayed in relationships because that's what they were told to do, even when they're not happy.
Yep.
Us, if we're not happy, we're leaving.
Yep.
And I feel like your happiness is number one. You shouldn't stay somewhere where you're happy just because you made that commitment. But if it just doesn't work anymore, like you said, you were married in 2003. You was divorced by 2005. Obviously, you weren't happy. Something wasn't going on right in that situation. But I do feel like in our generation, we are so. You can blink at me wrong, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I'm good.
But I feel like that's crazy because people don't want to work on things, and like we said the last time, we have. If me and you don't work out, I got somebody else right here.
Yep.
And I think we need to learn how to come to a happy medium. Take what was done in the past and take a little bit of what's today.
Yep. Well, I'm going to tell you what it is, though. What I realize with younger people when it comes to relationships, they prefer chemistry over compatibility.
Explain that.
Chemistry is like, okay, you meet, you know what I'm saying? Let's say I meet you for the first time. We start dating, we loving each other, you know what I'm saying? The little environment we in, conversation is dope, you know what I'm saying? And we're young people, well, let me not say that young people, because it's across the board. Okay. Where we slip up is we take that chemistry and we start smashing, right? And then what you do is, what smashing does is it clouds your vision. So the things that you should see in relationship, either you push it to the side because you don't want to mess up your little booty, or it clouds your vision to the point that you don't even see it at all. So then you thinking because y'all got this little chemistry that you compatible. And so what you end up doing is you end up getting married off of this little chemistry, right? And then when you get into the relationship, you finding out that my man pee in the shower, you know what I'm saying?
Everything you hate.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, he leave hair in the sink. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to raising children, you find out that he ain't really into church like that and you are. Right. And now y'all got this. And what ends up happening, right? Because you can't. Yeah. That's it. And so what I encourage young people to do, what I encourage all people to do, because let me not just say it's young people. We got some old folk, too, who just, like, for real, you just want what you want. And like, for real, it's not conducive to what you're looking for in terms of an end result. Okay. I want compatibility. Why? Because I know that at the end of the day, and that's what I got with my wife, because I know at the end of the day, we're not going to see everything eye to eye, right. But it's how we navigate through the issues and problems that allow the relationship to be blissful. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I can sit down with you and I can say, okay, yeah, I'm not quite wrapping my mind around that. Can we go in a little bit deeper? And we communicate with one another and we say, okay, cool. I tell you what, I see two outcomes to this, but let's go your way first. And if it don't work your way, then let's try my way. Compatibility.
So when you say at the root of a marriage, obviously is God.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But then what would be like, I know communication is, what would you label the second tier to a successful marriage? Like, would it be communication? Would it like what?
It would definitely be communication. It would definitely be communication, because people would say trust and honesty, but I need to be able to communicate that to you, and you need to be able to listen, because people think that communication is strictly being able to properly articulate a thought or an idea, a feeling, an emotion, right. But listening is just as important, right? And what I think it goes hand in hand with what I like to call create impact, right? And what is create impact? Create impact is not only finding understanding and meaning in what, you know, you're saying to one another, but understanding who each other is as a person. Okay. Like, I remember this one time, like very recently, I would say it was probably one of the breakthroughs that me and my wife had, right, in terms of our relationship. Right. And she was just like, Quest, I love the way that you know, the stuff that you're doing with marriage. I love the lives that you changing. I love the feedback that we get in. But she was like, yo, don't do it at the expense of my family. I was like, okay. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna front, sister. It stung, and I felt that ego rising up. Like, but then I felt the Holy Ghost in the back of my head say, yo, fam, sit down, shut up, and just listen. Yeah. And so I did just that. And as I listened to her, I asked her one question. I was just like, yo, is that what I really do? And she was like, yeah. And this is how I feel about it. And I was like, okay. And at the end of the conversation, I was just like, all right, cool, let's fix it. And she was like, how can I help you? Wow. And I was like, because you the organized one, you the structured one, can you come in and help me revamp my calendar so that I could put time in, special time in for the kids? Because she told me, she was just like, yo, you spending so much time in that office, even after the time that you're supposed to cut it off for the day. And not only do they want your time, I want your time, but I can't get it because you in there thinking about what's going right, what's not going right. And yo, I promise you, flesh and blood didn't reveal that because I had never articulated that to her. So after we said that, and she came back and she helped me revamp the calendar, by the way, she did in 15 minutes what it would have took me an hour and a half, probably to 2 hours to do. Wow. What was perceived as a problem is no longer a problem. Why? Because we communicated with one another and we were open to the lemon squeezer. Because see, sometimes if you using yourself as the measuring stick as to what you doing or not doing for your spouse, you're already off kilter. You're already off kilter. If I really want to find out how I'm doing, I got to ask her.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To find out. And how do you do that? You do that through communication.
Exactly.
And not only talking to her, but being able to listen and find understanding and meaning. And at the time, she wasn't talking as my wife.
Right.
She was talking as my children's mother. And so I had to understand, oh, she's talking as a mother right now. What she's saying to me is I don't want my kids to grow up like we grew up. And yeah, my father worked hard. He had a lovely relationship with my mom, but he never had time for us. So it's the communication that's the next level. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because
Yeah,
a lot of times, and we see this, you're ordained minister, right?
Yeah.
Everything, I mean, we see, a lot of times we see ministers, people can see them as perfect.
Yeah.
Everything they do is perfect. Obviously, we know the only perfect man that walked this earth was Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
What is one thing that you can say right now that you still struggle with in the midst of a relationship? Because a lot of times we see what we're doing right.
Yeah.
What can you honestly sit there and say? Like, I can honestly sit here and say, yeah, there's times where it's lust with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's times where I'm not that, open-ended with communication, whatever the case may be, as a man.
It used to be lust used to be more of an issue. And even then, I still got to be careful. I still got to be careful. Like, that thing that passed my eyes, sometimes I got to be like, no. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think more so in the relationship for me now, it's being defensive and allowing myself to surrender to my ego and not my vulnerability. And if there's one place that I could be or should be able to be vulnerable, it's with my wife. And so I'm learning now, when she say things and I get that feeling, I start checking myself and asking myself questions like, why are you getting mad? Like, you mad because she checked you, or you mad because you know what she said is true? And a lot of the time, I promise you 90% of the time, I'm mad because what she said is true. And when you dealing with the truth, because see, there's my truth, there's your truth, and then there's the truth. And what I try my best to do is line up my truth with the truth. You know what I'm saying? And when you know what she's saying is true, you ain't got no other choice but to sit back and say, okay, cool, let me go ahead and make some adjustments.
That's in any situation.
Any situation.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, like, right now, since UNC Charlotte, I mean, you found your purpose.
Yeah, no doubt.
You found your love, your passion.
Yeah.
What is the one thing, especially now that you're counseling a lot of marriages, a lot of marriage couples, what is the one problem that you see consistently? Not, and of course, I know you can't tell certain individual stories or whatever, but one thing that stands out that you see time and time again that a lot of married couples deal with.
Yeah, it's back to that thing again. It's the communication. And communication got so many different facets to it. It's so much more than just being able to properly articulate a thought. It's so much more than just being able to listen. There's nonverbal communication too. Like when you talking to me and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm communicating to you nonverbally that what you're saying to me is getting on my nerves and it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Then there's of course, verbal communication where you being defensive. Like when she was telling me what in the past, what I would do is I would get defensive. Like, why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm doing it for the family. I'm doing it for this. I'm doing it for that. And really, at the end of the day, they don't really care about that. They care about creating memories. When they get older, they're going to be like, I remember when daddy used to, you know what I'm saying, when daddy took us to the beach and daddy took us here and we had game night and we had this. They're not going to say, I remember when daddy used to work hard and make that money. Like, I don't care nothing about that.
They'll say that, but they'll say, but we never saw him.
That's what I'm saying.
But we never.
Yeah. And so that's the one thing. At the bottom of the communication, like I said before, is learning how to be able, and it takes practice and it takes maturity, learning how to be able to surrender to your vulnerability and not your ego. Your ego gonna get you in trouble time and time. You know what? It's an acronym. They say it's etching God out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So yeah, like for real.
Ego etching God out.
Yeah, no doubt.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what,
I know, you hit me with that one. You hit me with that
But
one.
it's also with communication, people are uncomfortable to say what's on their mind. Because you're putting yourself in the person's shoes that you need to communicate to. Yeah. They're going to feel like this if I say this, so I'm not going to say it. But now y'all sitting on unspoken words.
Absolutely. And that's the worst thing. Because what you think is happening and you getting anxious over something that ain't even really happening and you start assuming, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to cuss, but they say when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. You know what I'm saying? And what is the one thing that breaks that down or tears that whole thing down? It's communication. When I'm talking to you and sincerely trying to find out what's in your heart.
Right.
Because sometimes we communicate, we trying to manipulate the situation. We just trying to get what we want and how we want it. You feel me? Yeah. But when I'm sitting there and I'm communicating with you sincerely, like, what do you want to see happen in this situation right here? Yeah. What's the goal? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What are your desires? Very rarely do you find, okay, we'll ask in relationship what you're thinking, but very rarely we'll ask, you know what I'm saying? Well, what is your feelings towards what you're thinking? And then ultimately, what do you want to do? And then let's work together. You know what I'm saying? Because what I tell couples all the time is that you're not the problem. Your partner's not the problem. The problem is the problem. Let's work together against the problem and not each other. Yeah.
Let me say this. Let me ask you this, Jazz, because just from a female perspective, especially with what Quest has been saying, what's the one thing you think you've seen more and more dating now in our generation that stood out? I mean, obviously, I know there's a lack of faith, guys putting their faith as a forefront, as a foundation for the relationship. But with communication, with lust, with infidelity, what is one thing that stood out to you about today's generation of guys?
That's an issue?
That's an issue.
I would say communication, but I wouldn't even put it on just the guys. It's us too. I think that's the number one, outside of everything else, because I think that's always been like lust. Until you really get to know someone, right? You know what I mean. But like I said, communication. Communicate to me. If we have that communication, I know where we stand. If we have that communication, we both know what we want. Yeah. We're not out here assuming. Okay, he's just talking to me, or she's just talking to me, or because we're always together, he's committed to me. I'm committed to him. But y'all haven't had that communication. You're just going based off of assumption.
Come on.
In your head, you think y'all together. In his head, you just somebody you sleeping with. You know what I'm saying? So it's like communication. I think that's
absolutely. Because most situations you'll find a dude and he be like, "Oh, we just kicking it." You know what I'm saying? And you thinking that y'all together because y'all sleep. Y'all always together. Y'all sleeping together. Little do you know, he got this one over in this area code, this one over here in this side of town. And why? When it hit the fan and you find out, and he was like, "Well, we never had no conversation about."
And he can use that to his defense.
Oh, come on.
Never asked me.
That's a good point.
You can't sit here and say that.
You know
what I'm saying? But then then this is what bothers me too. When I do ask you, you don't have an answer. So I wanted to know. I wanted to open up that barrier of conversation, but you being real, we just chilling.
Yeah, no doubt.
That means, or you know what I'm saying? You don't answer the question to.
Caught up in that jam.
Come on, caught up in that jam. But I'm just saying, like, even in stuff like that, now you see why. And I know it's a difficult thing, because, like, for me, guys are very visual, and I think at the end of the day, oh, my man preach. I think at the end of the day, what it is that you need to have a certain level of discipline. Right. Because without it, like, for real, like, you know how we be saying in church, you talk like a ship tossed to and fro without a sail. You know what I'm saying? Right. Discipline is that thing that keeps you in line. And I'm a visual dude. I ain't gonna front. And I every now and then, you know what I'm saying, when my wife walk across the room, I'm like, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to, you know what I'm saying? Yes, indeed. You know what I'm saying? But if we not sharp, or if we don't got that discipline, we'll be outside and seeing the next one who built just the same way we like for them to be built. And then she walk thinking the same thing. And she ain't your wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. And the words say, whatsoever a man thinketh, so is he. So you got to watch how you think. And the discipline is the thing that keeps you in line. Yeah.
Let's take a quick left.
Yeah, come on.
Quick turn.
Come on.
Obviously, we touched last episode. People know your best friend, Fife Dog. You know, Tribe Called Quest. Yeah. Passed away some time now. It's been some time since the funeral, everything. Obviously, we see the lasting effect of a Tribe Called Quest and what they mean to not just hip-hop, but the whole culture. Yeah. How's it been to, because removing just his legacy as a rapper, that was your best friend. That was, you know, your part of your ace. Yeah, that was cool, all that.
Yeah, that was one of my dudes.
So, I mean, how's it been since that day? You know, you got that phone call.
It's been kind of rough. We navigate through it. Jerobi was here just a couple of weeks ago. They had like him and my boy Roots, who was Fife's longtime manager. They had like Jerobi used to be a chef. Okay. So they had this little event over there at the 7th Street Market where he DJ'd, of course. Yeah. And then, you know, Roby was in the chef with one of the dudes who chef over there as well. So all of us together, sometimes we see each other and then you kind of, you get that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then you might shed a little tear, whatever the case may be, because it ain't like we met as adults. We've been running since we was like young cats, like high school cats. You know what I'm saying? That's how long we've been running. So every now and then, you know what I'm saying, especially when I hear the old albums come on, you know what I'm saying, and you hear the verses all over again. I can remember studio sessions that I had attended, you know what I'm saying, where he spit that verse, so he spit that verse.
Right.
I remember shows that we did where I remember he spit that verse, so he spit that verse. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's kind of rough. But what I've done is that I don't know if I want to call it redirected the energy, but in essence, that's what I've done. The things that he did to get where he was in music, I'm like, yo, I got to keep it going. Like, I watched him, like, leave high school to pursue a career in music. And look where they did. They literally changed the face of hip hop during that. Yeah, no doubt.
What's so beautiful is that is your friend.
Yeah.
And what's so beautiful about it is he was able to reach his potential.
Yeah, no doubt.
And like for me, my grandfather passed. I don't have anything to remember his voice. I don't have anything, things like that. But being that your friend is who he was, accomplished what he accomplished, you still have that to go back to when you want to have a piece of him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's
no doubt.
Beautiful about
Man, I want to ask you, because I know last episode we didn't really get too much into it. What is that best memory, like whether it was on, because you've been around, again, being around, A Tribe Called Quest, you got Busta Rhymes and those guys. I mean, that whole wave that came out in the 90s, when it was touring and all that, what was your best memory that you remember on the road with them?
Good question.
Oh,
maybe,
man.
Because again, we're talking about Busta Rhymes. A lot.
Man, it's a lot. Some of my best memories was, we seen, you see the shows when Tribe was Tribe, but I think some of my best memories were when we actually started to perform. Like when they, I don't want to say it was my best memory, like because they broke up, but some of my best memories was after they broke up. And I ended up being his hype man on the road. And we went on, there was one tour I remember called the Underdog Tour. And there was this group called Sugar Ray back in the day from Cali. They bumped up on us. There was this concert that they were doing at the University of West Virginia. And I just remember a sea of people. And they found out we was, like they had a music festival on campus. And I remember they found out we were in another building, and they told us to come over to their set. And we came over to their set, and they let us rock out on stage in front of all of these people. And then they came over to our set in the other building, and they rocked with us. And man, like for real, Mark McGrath. Who was the head man? So man, I remember that was one of my fondest memories, man. And just seeing, like for real, I remember like us really turning, and really it's the songs from Tribe that we would redo on that really just turned the crowd upside down. I mean, yeah, man, there's a million and one different, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, as far as A Tribe Called Quest, 90s will always be the golden era of hip hop and R&B. Man, I mean, you talk about Outkast, Biggie, Tupac,
come on,
Mary J. Blige, the list goes on and on.
Come on.
But I gotta ask you, with this generation of hip hop, I know they talk about the mumble rap, anything. Is there one rapper that might like stand out to you right now that you can say he got it, he's the one right now, or maybe a couple, maybe there's a couple names you can say?
Man, who is one rapper now? I like the J. Cole.
I knew you was gonna say J. Cole.
I
literally knew you was gonna say J. Cole.
I like Lamar. You know what I'm saying? Who else do I like? I got guilty pleasures. I ain't gonna front. You know what I'm saying? Rich Homie Quan had that joint back in the day. Like that's one of my. That's my guilty pleasure. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a guilty pleasure of mine. And then of course there's like local artists who are starting to think differently and change like the face and content. Like I remember a couple of weeks ago, y'all had a dude on here. I don't remember his name. But I think he's a local Charlotte artist. But the way my man was talking, he was talking about he was seeing his homies die around him.
Oh,
and he started to change the way that he think. Like, yo, we can't do this no more.
Yeah, shout out Lil Shaq. Okay.
Oh, Lil Shaq. That's who it was. Yeah, shouts out to Lil Shaq because I love what my man was saying. He was like really changing the dynamics of how he thought as it relates to street life and like, yo, we got to do things different. And I know that once you change the way that you think, wherever your mind goes, your energy flows. So even if he's still rhyming trap, it ain't going to be too long before you start seeing the adjustments that he making. Why? Because that's where his head is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Man, so I mean, I wasn't expecting you to say that, Rich Homie Quan, especially Lil Shaq. So I mean, when we talk about today with the killing going on, you see what's going on in Chicago. Man, I mean, what's the one thing you need to change in certain cities? Does it start with the politics? Does it just start with us as black people?
I just think it needs to start with us, man. Politicians gonna be politicians at the end of the day. It comes down to what you've been blessed with and the talents that you've been blessed with and how you're going to use those talents. You know what I mean? You know the parable of the talents. I ain't got to go deep into it. There's a reason why all of us are wired the way that we wire. It's a reason why you got the gifts that you got. So that you could, like for real, for that he could use you in whatever part of the vineyard to do the necessary work. When you look across dudes like E.T., I don't care how much motivational speaking you see E.T. do. He's still in the schools. You know what I'm saying? He's still talking to elementary schools, still talking to high schools, right? Still showing them another, still creating impact in those areas. You know what I'm saying? And young dudes' lives is being changed. Like there was these 4 dudes. I'll never forget him. Justin is one of them. Shouts out to my man Justin. He came to the Phenomenal Life with 3 other of his boys, and they range in anywhere from ages 24 to 26. 4 dudes. 124, 125. I think 2 of them 25 and 126. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And all of them came because of what E is doing in terms of like they watching his videos every day. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they are to better themselves in some way, shape, or form. 2 of them run their own business, and 2 of them are like just started up a startup. Like like for real, young cats. I wish I was thinking along those lines when I was that age. Right. You feel me? So, yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the politicians that do the work. I think it's going to be the people who have certain talents and gifts and who are fearless. You know what I'm saying? The word declares that in the last days, it's going to be the laymen that do the work. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be people like me and you where the spirit going to be poured out upon, and we going to talk, you know what I'm saying? And see things in ways that nobody else going to see them. And because we got that fearless spirit in us, it's going to be people that's going to be changed and affected by the work that we do. So yeah, man, this what y'all doing right here. Right. You know what I'm saying? With no boundaries. Like for real, like how many podcasts you know who having spiritual talk and talking about things that's really going to change the generation in which y'all operate right now. You feel me? So yeah.
Right. I mean, and I want to ask you this because again, I want to dive back into relationships. This has been a controversial question. I seen this one female. She's a pop and R&B singer. She said if she gets with a guy, he has to be a Muslim. And he said, oh, and the reporter asked, oh, he can't be a Christian? And she said it just wouldn't work. Yeah. So when you get a guy and matter of fact, let me ask you this: have you had a couple that's been a Christian, a Muslim, or conflicting religions?
I've never come across a couple that I've personally coached, but I've come across couples that want to look towards marriage, right? Right. And I've let them know, like for real, the word declares it: don't become unequally yoked. You know what I'm saying? Now I ain't mad at the Muslims. I got some of my partners is like for real Orthodox Muslims. You feel me? Right. And just because 2 people are the same faith don't mean that you equally yoked. That's very true. That's true. Yeah, let me just say that. Just because 2 people are of the same faith don't mean that you equally yoked. And this is the reason why compatibility over chemistry is so important. Are we compatible? Just because we go to the same church and we believe the same things of the same faith, like for real, the way that we're wired is already different. And case in point, when my wife get out the shower, I'm like, And when I get out the shower, you know what I'm saying? She like, Negro, stop dropping water all over my floor. Same situation, two different perspectives.
Right.
So we wired differently already as male and female. Let's start getting into characteristics and who we are in terms of character and integrity. That might be a whole nother conversation altogether.
Right.
So just because we of the same faith don't mean that we equally yoked. And it's important. You know what I'm saying? So if she says she want a Muslim man, she right for saying that. Why? Because that's half the battle going right there. But even now, as a Muslim man, are they compatible? Because just because they, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's, yeah.
I'm like, look,
Hey.
I wouldn't have thought of it that way, but that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you honestly hitting it on the head right now. And I want to say, what has been your biggest distraction? You got a lot of things going on. I can't help but saying, I mean, again, E.T., just the inspiration right there. I'm seeing him on what? Hot Wings? Wings Zone commercials?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, he's still talking to NBA teams. Wingstop commercials. Still talking to NBA teams, doing what he does.
Yeah.
What has been your biggest distraction so far? I mean, like you said, you got the podcast going on. You got your stuff with E.T. going on.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest distraction? And I don't want to, maybe you might say family, but I don't count family as a distraction. That's always going to be there.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't know if I have a distraction like that, because there's so many different things now that are dependent on me in terms, like me and D, like D take care of my media now. It's my job now to make sure that I do what I'm supposed to do to expand, because at one point or another, I want him to leave his job and be able to, you know what I'm saying, pay him more than what he making, you know what I'm saying, at his job. That's what E did, you know what I'm saying? And like, for real, E set the blueprint as to how this thing should be done. And I've been rocking with him for over 20 years, long before ETA came into the mix. Really and truly, he been my older brother. He the one who married me in faith.
Wow.
You feel me?
Wow.
So he the one who, he did my premarital counseling. He was the one who went down with us to DR.
Right.
He was the one who performed the ceremony. So he just so much more than just my boy, or, you know what I'm saying, like my partner. He's like my brother. He's my pastor, away from my home pastor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's my confidant. He's my mentor in terms of how I do business. Like, I call him up and be like, yo, how I do this? He'd be like, yo, let that go. Immediately.
But you gotta have that one person you can.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Completely and utterly honest with you about the decisions.
But that's the joy, sis, about accountability. Because accountability is a couple of dudes that I get on the phone with every morning about 6:15, 6:30, right? And we talk about all the different things that men go through as men. Here's the lovely thing about accountability. Accountability is a group of brothers who love you, who respect you, but are not impressed by you, who you give permission to check you when you know what I'm saying, when you talking crazy, or when your mind, you know what I'm saying? Like,
everybody doesn't have that. Like, me personally, I'm not gonna. I think I have probably one friend that will honestly tell me what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's good. That's better than most people can say.
Yeah, no doubt.
But you need somebody that's gonna be like, if I come to you with an idea, and every time you tell me, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, nah.
Not being real.
Everything's a good idea.
Yeah.
Right.
If I go out here and pee on the side of the building, that's a good
Yep.
idea.
Yes,
in
ma'am.
public, like, you know what I'm saying?
Nah.
Like,
Right.
You gotta have that friend that's gonna be like, look, you need to slow down, or look, I think you need to be doing more.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's good that you have that.
It's funny you should say that. There's this thing that we do whenever I coach couples. There's this thing that we do called the DISC assessment, or the animal assessment.
Okay.
And basically it tells you who you are and how you're wired. So there's 4 quadrants to the assessment. There's D, which we refer to as the gorilla, which is why we call it the animal assessment. Okay. It's who you are when you're approaching problems and making decisions.
Right.
Then there's the I, which we refer to as the flamingo, which is me. I'm a 99 flamingo. It's how you interact with other people and share opinions, right? Yeah. And then there's the green, which is the S, and that's the chameleon, and that's who you are when you're pacing, or how you pace things in your environment. Okay. And then you have the last one, which is the C, which is the turtle, and that's your preference for standards and protocol, right? Structure, detail. That's my wife. She's either 88 or 99 turtle. Wow. Most people, they want nothing but flamingos. If you like me, if you're a gorilla, you want nothing but gorillas around you. Flamingo, you want nothing but flamingos around you. Right. I want an array of people around me. Why? Because gorillas is going to be the one. They don't care nothing about your little feelings. Those are usually executives. When it's time to make a decision, they make decisions without no flaws. and they going to tell you what it is or what it ain't, and they ain't going to care nothing about your little feelings. That used to be my man C. And I used to be mad when C used to tell me stuff. And he'd be like, all right, come on, let's go eat. Like, I don't want to go eat. I still got an attitude. He's like, man, ain't nobody worried about your attitude. Let's go eat. You know what I'm saying? And I used to be like tripping how he used to be able to get over it so quick because it was how he was wired. Then there's me, the flamingo, like I'm a people person. I could sit with y'all and do this from morning till night because this is my fuel. Right. I like to be amongst people. Right. And then, of course, you got the chameleons who can adapt to any situation. Right. And then, of course, the turtles who are very structured. They're going to take their time in doing something. But when they do it, it's going to be done right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and so you need to know who you got around you. And I take a whole lot more gorillas around me. Why? Because they're going to tell me what's what. Oh, yeah. Then, of course, I need my wife. Because whenever I do anything, I'm not considering all the details. When my wife come to me, she be like, did you consider this? Did you consider that? I'm like,
no, I just wanted to
I just want to pull the trigger. Right. So you need all of the, as you said, you need all of these different people in your life.
So you're considered a flamingo by the system. So what was your wife be considered then?
My wife is considered a turtle.
A turtle, okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now she got a high flamingo and she got a high chameleon, but she like 88 or 99 turtle. So yeah.
So it balances each other.
Oh, come on. It balances me out. Yeah.
We going to think about a lot of stuff you not going to think about.
Yeah, right.
And here's the funny thing, though. It like people come in after they take the assessment. People be like, man, I thought I was so-and-so. I thought I was so-and-so. I'm like, no.
This is what this is.
This is what it is right here.
Right. So how do you come up with the result? Is it like a questionnaire and you say?
Yeah, you go. It's a assessment that I administer online. So you go online, you pay for the assessment, you take the assessment, and then it shoots me back the results. It's like about 15 to 20 questions.
Yes or no?
Yeah, and no, it's not yes or no, but they'll tell you to arrange certain things in order. It's a number of different questions. These doctors got together, I think in the 1940s, and they had this thing called the theories of behavior. And so some other doctors got together and put together this assessment called the DISC assessment. I run it through this company called Intermetrics, but for real, it's a dope assessment and it tells you who you are and how you wired. Yeah.
Now this is my last thing.
Come on.
We gotta touch on sex real quick.
Yeah, no doubt.
Obviously, the one
it's
taboo
great
to talk about.
It's great.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes, especially,
it's great.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's a taboo to talk about, especially when you talk about a foundation of faith going towards, because obviously we want to look towards marriage. Yeah. The purpose of dating is to look for somebody that you can see, you know, yourself with for the rest of your life. Yeah. What would be your advice to the younger generation? Again, and you kind of said it before, it seems like people stray away from it. Yeah. As far as handling sex, whether it's with dating, because obviously we know the the set in stone rule is, wait till marriage to have sex.
Yeah, no doubt.
Obviously, people in today's age not doing that and messing up. I mean, you know how it goes. Yeah. What does Quest Spring say about that?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that I didn't do it, but to this day, like there's still remnants of the price that you got to pay. You know what I'm saying? Because of that, I did it, and I did it before marriage, and I did it after marriage. Well, after marriage, it really don't matter. You married, so. But my personal belief is that marriage is the only container strong enough to hold sex and everything that comes along with it. Let me tell you something. There's this thing called oxytocin that happens between it's a chemical release that happens between a man and a woman when they have sex, and it's a bonding chemical. And what ends up happening is I've talked to brothers now who say, yo, I'm married, I'm happy, but there's this one chick that I still think about from time to time, and the stuff that we did before, I play it over and over in my head. I'm like, yeah, it's called a soul tie. It's called a soul tie. The reason why sex, like for people don't really understand how powerful sex is and how spiritual and how deep it is. Right. Like it is the one thing that causes you to experience things you would never experience unless you took a drug. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, in certain instances, it can become a drug. Right. Then people end up having sex addictions and being addicted to porn. And, been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. When it got a hold on you, it's hard for it to let go. I'm talking about it's hard to let go.
Like a drug.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like a drug. And so, like, for real, there's a lot of praying and fasting that I had to do, You know what I'm saying? In order to get rid of some of that stuff. And even now, from time to time, like every once in a blue moon, my mind go to a place and I'm like, come on, God. Yeah, come on. Can you just take that away from me? Like, for real. Like, for real. I don't want nothing. Yeah, like, for real. I love my wife so doggone much. I don't need no help. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need no help. Like, I could do dirty all by myself. I don't need no help. You know what I'm saying? And so I would encourage young people, just not even just young people, just people across the board, like, for real, don't engage in sexual activity until after you get married. Now, I know that's an unpopular, you know what I'm saying, mindset or an unpopular thing to say, but I'm telling you that the cost that you will pay is so much more than you're willing to pay. You know what I'm saying? Especially like you have a child. Like that's on the easy end. You have a child with somebody that you ain't married to. I got a 16-year-old now who living with me now. You know what I'm saying? Who just started living with me last year. And like, for real, I could see the changes that she goes through in terms of her mom not being there. And I'm watching my father being mad. Now, my wife treats her like it's her own daughter. But you know what I'm saying? But sometimes I could see the struggle that she go through because of some of the questions that she asked. And I wouldn't have been just lovely for her to be a part of this family or for me to still be with her moms. Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And now I got to help her navigate through that. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many things to consider. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention if you catch some STD, and now they got stuff out there now that, like, for real, they'll put you 6 feet under quick, fast, in a hurry. Man. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? And then there's stuff that you keep like luggage. Praise God that has never been my testimony. But like, for real, outside of that, I still got to deal with, you know what I'm saying, watching my daughter transition at 16 through this stuff. And all I could do is love her through it and talk her through it and communicate her through it. You know what I'm saying? And my wife, I don't got to worry about her because she already treats her like it's her own. You know what I'm saying? But there's so many different things to consider. You don't want to have that soul tie. You don't want to be laying in the bed with your wife one night doing what y'all do as a married couple and your mind go back to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want that. You don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. So I would say, like, for real, I know it's the unpopular thing to say because social media, TV, everything is telling you to move in that direction. But, like, for real, leave it alone until marriage, man. And I promise you, you think you don't know good sex until you married and you don't have nothing to compare it to. But it's just you and your, you know what I'm saying? Because people always say, well, is it going to be good? You wouldn't know what good or bad sex was if you never had it until you have it with your wife.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, for real. And here's the funny thing. Because you did it the way that it was ordained to be done, God gonna blow your mind. Amen. He gonna blow your mind.
Man, look. Quest, man, every time I see you, you always leveling up. One thing I want to shout you out for, you always reinvest into everything you got going on. Yeah, I see from the first time you started getting on with the podcast to now, you and D, what y'all doing with the filming and everything, man, y'all always reinvesting. I think that's something everybody can take away. It's always reinvesting yourself.
That's it.
Especially when you're in communications field, it's always great to reinvest in yourself.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And of course, you always show love to us, man.
Come on.
I appreciate you.
Come on, we up here anytime.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So much love, man.
Yeah, shouts out to No Boundaries, man.
Oh, man, thank you. Before we even get out, of course, social medias. Yeah. Go ahead and give social media where they can find you at.
Yeah. You'll find me at Instagram at Quest_Green. That's QUEST_Green. You'll find me at Twitter at Quest Green. You'll find me on Facebook, Quest Green. Check out the YouTube channel, Quest Green. Yep, filmed by my man, Daryl Mays. I'm telling you, man, Daryl keep me sexy. I don't know how he do what he do. I'm telling you, but D keep me sexy, man. Like, for real. He D be doing his thing.
D, what's your social media?
Right. Let's know your social media, too.
I want to say mine, Daryl Mays, everywhere, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff, Daryl Mays.
Daryl Mays, everything.
Yep, Daryl Mays, everything. I promise you, D be doing this thing, keeping your boy tight. And then, of course, if you want to stop by the website and see what we do in terms of marriages, just go to www.jquestgreen.com. Yeah, we about to revamp that real soon, too. So, man.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. Look, I appreciate you coming through. Part
come on.
Season 2. And, of course, we're going to have part 3, 4, 5.
Oh, come on. Anytime.
Man, love so much. Thank y'all for watching. Again, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. No Boundaries, Jazz and Josh.
Yeah.
Love.
All right.